It's time to replace the clutch cable on my Buell S3T. Ordered a new cable that came with an O-ring from St. Paul Harley Davidson. I'm going to drain the transmission oil. I'm using a piece of an aluminum can to cover the exhaust because I didn't feel like dropping the muffler. Slide the boot up to get to the adjuster. Loosen the nut with a wrench and adjust it until there's a ton of free play at the lever. I'm going to remove the cover. Turn the adjusting screw clockwise to release it from the mechanism. Careful not to have that come apart. Rotate that out. Slide that off. Whoops. Now that end of the cable is free. Need to undo this now. 9/16, normal lefty-loosey. I'm going to remove the lever pivot now so I can access this end of the cable. Just like on a bicycle, I'm going to wiggle that barrel out through the slot. I'm going to remove the clamp that holds the cable on the front. I'm going to drop some stuff. Tracing the cable is fairly easy. It just runs right along the front of the frame. Just goes around a couple wires. I'm going to run the new one that same direction. With this end of the cable broke loose from earlier, I just laid it out on the floor in front of me and just spun it with my fingers. Should just be able to slide right out, make more of a mess. I'm going to put the O-ring on the end of the cable. Notice the cable already has some thread sealant applied. I cleaned up the threads in the case, and now I'm reinstalling the cable with the O-ring. I have the top of the cable roughly where I need it to be. Now I'm reinstalling the P-clamp holder. Assembly is the reverse of disassembly, as they say. Let's see if I can do this one-handed. Got to watch out for this switch if you didn't remove it. Don't want to break it off. Feed it in there. That was pretty good. Reassemble the pivot. Reattach the cable coupling. Reattach the ramp, inner and outer. Feed it back in here without it falling apart. Reattach the nut. Turn the adjusting screw until it bottoms out softly. Remember the thread direction, and then turn it back a quarter turn. The manual says to go to a soft bottoming out and then back a quarter turn. I was able to feel that soft bottoming out. I went a little further and I could tell that it didn't feel right. So I backed it out until it did feel and function properly. If the hex doesn't fully seat, you can kind of adjust until it does. That looks good. Once the lock plate is installed, squeeze the clutch lever a few times to set the ramps. I could feel it set when I first did this. Now adjust the cable to get an 1/8 to a 1/16 instead of whatever slop you have. You do that right here. That seems okay to me. Tighten the lock nut with 2 wrenches. This one is 9/16 and 1/2. Slide the boot back down. Reinstall the large seal and the cover. Reinstall the drain plug. Since I drained the transmission oil, I'll need to fill it. Take off this cover. The manual says that it takes roughly 1 quart, but if you overfill it, you'll have hard shifts, hard time finding neutral, etc. I have had a little bit of that on this bike, so I might go a little shy of a quart and then adjust as necessary based on how it feels. Reinstalling the cover. I'd say that concludes a clutch cable replacement with the bonus of a transmission fluid change.